Tracy.
Good evening, everybody. Can I have your attention? I'm Tracy James. I'm the Executive Director of the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency. And I just want to do a little housekeeping before we start. The public information session is a courtesy provided for the public to get an update on the project vision of the applicant. It's an opportunity for the public to listen to an update on the project and make comments for consideration. It will not be a debate or question-answer session with the audience. It's not an official public hearing. An official public hearing will be held after due diligence has been completed. Following the applicant's presentation, the chair will open the floor to those who submitted their names on a comment card at the beginning of the session. Dawn is still here taking names if anyone wants to speak. He will then turn to the virtual attendant participants. If you're called upon, please stand at the podium of the microphone, face the board, and state your name and address before stating your comments. Virtual attendants must state their names and addresses as well. Comments should be directed to the board, not the applicant. And virtual attendants, please raise your hand to speak, and you will be recognized by the IT person. In the interest of time, Riverhead residents will be prioritized in making comments. Those in attendance and in person and virtually will be expected to conduct themselves with proper etiquette. Clapping, cheering, speaking out of order, or disorderly conduct is not appropriate. Berating of the board or fellow audience members will not be tolerated. We ask that pages and cell phones be turned off or placed on vibrate so not to disturb the proceedings. Please speak only when recognized by the chairperson. Please stand and face the board, speak clearly, and state your name and address for the record. Focus your testimony on the matter at hand, or you will be asked to allow the next person to speak. Please avoid repetitive testimony. If another person has made similar points, please make note of it and state that you concur with a previous speaker. In the interest of time, comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker per item. When a large group is present like this, the chair may reduce the time of a speaker. Speaking time may not be deferred to another speaker. The chairman reserves the right to have any disruption removed from the room or may opt to immediately close the session. Patience and civility are encouraged. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I'd like to present you with a statement from the agency before we commence the presentation. We're here tonight to receive a presentation from CAT, which the IDA has requested as a result of new information reflected in a letter to the press by Justin Germazian regarding the proposed development. CAT will only be speaking about their vision of the development. This will not be a session to discuss the financial capability of the developer, which will be deferred to a future time. Before we hear their presentation, we want to clear up some matters. There has been an undertone of pressure to expedite this review and criticism of the length of time it is taking. Bear in mind, the agency could not begin the required due diligence until it retained new counsel based on concerns we were hearing from the public. This delay in seeking out and hiring new counsel postponed any review until January of this year. The new counsel then had to be brought up to speed, and then the due diligence effort restarted. We have no inclination to rush through the review of this application, but have, since day one, sought to conduct a thorough and complete analysis of this important and complex project. This property has been in limbo for 20 years and in contract since 2018. The agency respectfully requests some patience on behalf of the community to allow for a complete vetting of the information provided. The agency follows New York State General Municipal Law in accordance with the IDA regulations. One of the requirements is to hold a public hearing prior to granting any financial assistance. This is typically done after a cost-benefit analysis is completed. In order to do a cost-benefit analysis, the agency needs a fairly refined description of the project, including estimates on employment numbers, industry types, an assessment of the real property value, and future projections as to revenue. Therefore, An appraiser has been retained and is preparing an assessed value estimate. It will take some time for this to be done. A forensic accountant has been retained and has been reviewing confidential financial information provided to us. Complex financing structures that have been proposed will generate additional information requests and reviews by the board and its external financial consultant. The agency has been reviewing its role in the SECRA analysis as well. Deadlines have been implemented for each step of this process. All of these steps require time in order to be performed professionally and accurately. This matter comes to us with an existing contract previously entered into between the town and CAT. It is not for the agency to opine on whether the contract is for fair value or not. The contract exists as it is. The agency does not create nor determine appropriately zoned uses for property. It does not approve site plans. Site plans are typically submitted and processed concurrently with an IDA application. The permitting process is followed pursuant to town law. Once the board is satisfied that it has received all the information it deems necessary, a public hearing or hearings will be held to provide sufficient time for the public to make comment. After that point, the agency will deliberate on all its findings with regard to the financial capability and their proposed development project. The gravity of the matter before this volunteer board, unpaid I might add, requires a diligent review of all the available material, and it will take as long as it takes to make any determination. That review will not be rushed nor influenced by outside factors. We ask the public for patience and remind you that assumptions on what will be built until the definitive plan is up for public hearing only serve to mislead and scare people. Thank you. And I'd now like to ask the representatives for CAT to come to the podium and begin to update us on their proposed development.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address the Riverhead IDA Board. My name is Justin Germazian, and on behalf of Calverton Aviation Technology, or CAT, and the Germazian family, and 555, we welcome this opportunity to present our development plans for EPCAL, and to underscore who we are as a company and our responsibility and commitment to the communities in which we invest. We believe when a company seeks to engage in a public-private partnership with the government for the purpose of creating a project that benefits both the developer and the taxpayer, that developer is obligated to be transparent, engaged, and visionary. And that is the intent of CAT and 555. Tonight, our counsel, Christopher Kent and Peter Curry, will present the facts of our proposed development project and welcome your questions with respect to the same. We fully intend to continue to work cooperatively with the relevant agencies and elected officials, including this board and the town of Riverhead. As has been our practice during the years, we have worked to develop this project and in many decades of experience as developers of world-class projects. While we are grateful for the chance to present information about our planned project for your consideration, I also hope that our corporate presence here tonight with our team underscores our deep personal commitment to this project and our relationship with the town of Riverhead. Much has been written about our proposal, our company, and my family. Some of it has been rooted in fact, much of it has been pure speculation, and regretfully, some of that speculation has been meant to be deliberately hurtful and has been driven by those who may have their own agenda. We hope that notwithstanding some of the confusion, rumors, and falsehoods that some have spread about the project plan or our credentials as developers, you'll each keep in mind an open mind and judge the project based on the actual facts about what we intend to build and our well-established skill set and track record delivering world-class projects throughout the United States, around the world. As a company and as a family, we decided that the best response would be to focus on what we know we can achieve here for the town of Riverhead. 555 has been in business for over 50 years. For much of those 50 plus years, 555 has been developing and operating real estate projects in the US, Canada, and elsewhere. Through these and other endeavors, we have created thousands of jobs and created billions of dollars of economic impact, improving the economy, the communities in which we operate. For this project, we intend to bring our development expertise, business relationships, and reputation to bear on what is arguably one of the most important projects in our portfolio. Bringing the former Grumman Test Center back to economic life under the EPCAL banner is literally a historic opportunity. Our commitment to the EPCAL project has been years in the making. We have already spent millions of dollars to advance the project to this point, and we look forward to be able to execute on our business vision and our promise to the town of Riverhead. As I stand here before the members of the IDA, it is critical that the IDA and every interested person understand what we intend to build, and equally as important, what we do not intend to build. This is the only way for people to develop fully informed opinions about what the project is and what it is not. As for what we will build, and the tenants we seek, as will be explained in greater detail by CAT's counsel during their presentation, we intend initially to build 1 million square feet of commercial space and ultimately to build 10 million square feet. The sorts of tenants we intend to seek include those with expertise in, among other things, aerospace, research and development, transportation innovation, and other technology advances. We will also seek complementary uses that may include distribution logistics, as well as industrial, commercial, environmental, energy, medical research, and academic tenants. What is not being designed, considered, or proposed is a cargo jetport or a commercial aviation jetport. I personally apologize for the confusion that was created when it was referenced by a professional consultant as a hypothetical concept of full build-out. We should have immediately flagged it for what it was, and more importantly, what it is not. Those concepts are not included in any plan we are placing before the IDA or the town board. As our council will discuss in more detail, prior to submitting formal development plans to the town, we will also seek the input of not just the relevant agencies and elected officials, but also the community itself. I anticipate this taking the form of open sessions and meetings with different community groups to solicit feedback on what we are planning and ways the community thinks it can be improved. We expect EPCAL to be a project for the town of Riverhead that everyone can be proud of. One of the aspects of the project we are most looking forward to is its ability to provide jobs and opportunities to a new generation of Long Islanders. By working with businesses which offer jobs that attract and retain both individuals new to the workforce as well as those more mature, we will provide younger people with the ability to find meaningful careers locally so they can stay close to home and not have to relocate out of state or suffer through a long commute. This will make the town of Riverhead even more enticing for those who left but would like to come back and those who never want to leave. I would like to note that 555 financially supports many charities across the world with a focus on where our development projects are located. We like to think our charitable donations and work with local partners has enabled those partners to touch and improve the lives of millions. In keeping with this, CAT intends to become engaged in the community and to support community-based organizations that encourage young people in their lives and careers. Examples would include the proposed Riverhead YMCA and working with the local partners to promote STEM programs within the Riverhead school system. In closing, we envision EPCAL as being a center of job creation, investment, innovation, one that reflects the intent of our public-private partnership with the town and its residents. We have the vision, the development expertise, the financial strength, and business relationships to accomplish this shared goal, to make the enormous economic potential of EPCAL a reality. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Christopher Kent. I'm a partner at Farrell Fritz, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York. We represent Calverton Aviation and Technology. For the sake of clarity, I just want to say it one more time. For the sake of clarity and good order, and to dispel any confusion about CAT's development plans, CAT's project plan does not include a commercial airport or a cargo jet port as part of the proposed project. What can be built as part of CAT's project is controlled and limited by several documents. The deed from the federal government, the town-adopted generic environmental impact statements, the finding statements, the town-adopted urban renewal and reuse plans, the adopted zoning, and the agreement of sale. CAT intends to develop the buildable portion of the property it acquires from the town CDA as a mixed-use project with a phased build-out over several years, if not decades, in full compliance with all of the town-adopted studies, plans, and zoning, and consistent with the town's vision for the reuse of this property. The town's DSGEIS for the Calverton redevelopment analyzed the impact of a theoretical full build-out of that portion of the CDA property to be acquired by CAT. That study included, and as its full build-out, 6,886,836 square feet of industrial research and development and flex space, 2,927,232 square feet of office flex, and 740,520 square feet of medical office space, a total of 3,667,752 total office flex space. It included 805,860 square feet of commercial retail space and 300 residential units supportive of commercial industrial development at the CAT parcel. The finding statement notes that redevelopment could accommodate a mix of uses, including business, commercial, and retail, industrial, government, energy park, recreation, utilities, residential, and including the 2 runways being available for limited redevelopment and/or historic use, aviation. The eastern runway has been and continues to be an active runway and would be available for such in the future. And the western runway would also be available for its historic aviation uses and/or other contemplated permitted supportive uses. Any proposed change in runway uses not complying with the foregoing would require additional environmental review. Now I'm reading from the quote from the finding statement. CAT's plan does not include any principal retail use or residential use. We're not proposing, even though permitted, we're not proposing any of that. Any aviation uses of the runway will be only supportive and accessory to a developed principal use on the property. CAT's Phase 1A project, the agreed-upon intended development plan, includes the development of 1 million square feet within 5 years of receiving all approvals, to be located within 5 buildings on the northeast side of the eastern runway in an area that encompasses approximately 120 acres. CAT selected this area as the Phase 1 project site because of its proximity to existing road, sewer, and water infrastructure that will create financial and development efficiencies for connection of the first phase of the project to existing infrastructure. The Phase 1A plan includes a proposed 60-foot wide right-of-way and the construction of 7,645 feet, which is 1.45 miles, of the planned perimeter road connecting the Phase 1A site to Berman Boulevard and the signalized intersection at Middle Country Road, New York State Route 25. The construction of the road will coincide with the installation of all required infrastructure, drainage, sewer and water extensions, gas and electric, and fiber optic service installation required for the Phase 1A site, with plans for extended infrastructure and services for proposed future phases of the project. The sewer collection system will install gravity lines to a pump station on the northeast side of the eastern runway that is pumped by a directionally drilled force main under the runway to a sewer district manhole located in Jan Way. The Phase 1A plan includes 2,804 on-site code-compliant surface parking stalls located in parking areas within proximity to the proposed buildings. CAT's overall development concept envisions only ancillary aviation uses for the runway that would support a principal use of a business locating at the site. The development plan does not include a commercial airport or cargo jetport operating as part of the proposed project. And I'm sorry to repeat that, but it's been repeated a lot that we are doing that. Since the signing of the sale agreement in November 2018, CAT has worked with various third-party advisors to identify the best mix of uses and to attract potential tenant interest and private investment in the CAT parcel that would result in a financially successful project, stimulate economic growth, create employment opportunities, and generate tax revenues for the town, the surrounding communities, and the Long Island region. The August 2022 market report and economic benefit analysis prepared for CAT by James Lima Planning considered two similar configurations for the first 1 million square feet of development that include consistent proposed uses with varying proposed square footages. The report identifies the following business sectors as anticipated uses located within the first 1 million square feet of development: warehouse and distribution, fabricated metal products, computer and electronic products, aircraft manufacturing, airport engine and engine parts manufacturing, other aircraft parts and auxiliary manufacturing, internet service providers, ISPs, search portals and data processing, and professional scientific and technical services. The allocation of anticipated square footage for the uses proposed in the market report fit with the conceptual plan that was prepared by R&M Engineering for the development of the first 5 buildings. The conceptual plan identifies 2 300,000 square foot logistics buildings, 1 200,000 square foot flex building, and 2 100,000 square foot flex buildings. Those will be occupied with mixed uses. Lima's report concluded that based upon market analysis of the anticipated site uses and the square footage per employee, Phase 1A's direct impact employment will range between 1,047 and 1,425 employees and result in direct economic impact of $359 to $806 million per year. The extension and ripple effect created by the direct jobs and economic benefits is a fraction of the total employment and economic benefits forecast by the Lima report. CAT intends to develop and lease the project to aerospace innovation, transportation innovation, and other research and development and technology uses and associated businesses, as well as other synergistic industrial manufacturing, technical services, warehouse and distribution, commercial, environmental, energy, medical, and academic uses. CAT has discussed the potential to develop both build-to-suit space and speculative buildings based upon the identified market demands, as well as the potential to extend the on-site rehabilitated rail line to support the proposed construction and future operation of the project and benefit on-site businesses. The Phase 1A plan proposes uses that our real estate consultants have identified as currently in demand within the marketplace. The build-out and occupancy of Phase 1 may vary during the site plan approval process conducted by the town board. as CAT balances its intent to construct speculative buildings with tenants' demand for build-to-suit space. Our current Phase 1A plan is as follows: 1 million square feet, warehouse use, 2 one-story, 300,000 square foot, 50-foot dividable buildings to be used for ground logistics, warehousing, and distribution by one or multiple users. Industrial manufacturing building, 1 mixed-use, 2-story, 200,000 square foot building plus basement to be designed and occupied by a mix of the industrial, manufacturing, and assembly users. Technology and office research and development and education uses. 2 mixed-use, 2-story, 100,000 square foot buildings plus basements to be designed and occupied by technology, office, research and development, and medical and educational uses. Excuse me. I can only go so long. Well, CAT expects to make applications for required approvals to the town board and all other involved governmental agencies within 6 months of receipt of an IDA authorizing resolution, which authorizes us to proceed. CAT anticipates all approvals will be granted within 12 to 18 months from the time of submission of our applications. Within 6 months from the acquisition closing, as part of Phase 1A, CAT will pay for the installation of lights to enhance the town ball fields at Veterans Memorial Park. A critical component of Phase 1A, identified by the town, requires CAT to complete not less than $1 million of improvements to the runways within 2 years from the date of the acquisition closing. Construction of infrastructure for roads, drainage, sewer and water extensions, gas, electric, and telecommunication fiber optic installations will begin shortly after the final plans for Phase 1A are approved by the town board and all other involved agencies. Infrastructure improvements for Phase 1A can be completed in 12 to 15 months from the receipt of all final approvals. Vertical construction of Phase 1A will be completed 5 years from the receipt of all required approvals. Upon completion and occupancy of 500,000 square feet of new construction at the project, CAT will fund $1,500,000 for recreational and community benefits as determined by the Community Development Agency. So that's our proposed project. Would you like me to discuss aviation uses now, or do you want to ask any questions on the project itself?
Any questions?
I have questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Kent, I can't help but notice that the two 300,000 square feet logistics buildings, which you say one of the uses could be warehouse and distribution, are in close proximity to the 10,000 foot runway that's over at Calverton. And you stated that the runways were going to be used for, as you said, supportive and accessory to the development, as well as support the principal use of the development. So if we have 600,000 square feet of logistics buildings, which could be used for warehouse and distribution, could you tell me what would be a supportive and accessory use for the runways with respect to those buildings?
I'm not sure if there would be any supportive or accessory uses to the logistics buildings, unless there was flying in some type of a part or some kind of machinery or equipment that's necessary for a repair.
So even if those buildings were, the majority use was some sort of warehouse and distribution, it's your statement that those runways, the use of those runways would not be supportive and accessory to warehouse storage or distribution?
There would not be, so let me respond to that. In addition to any aviation uses specifically prohibited in the agreement of sale or under the zoning, the development of the EPCAL property will specifically exclude any aviation use of the runways by shipping and/or delivery companies seeking to use aviation as a principal use to transport goods to off-site consumers. And I'm certain that our transactional documents, our approvals that we get from both the IDA and from the town board for site plan will include such similar or exact language such as that as conditions of approval, which may even require recording of covenants against the property. So
Okay.
that's what I can tell you. And the reason why we would locate those uses closer to the runway is because our office buildings, we would not like to have most people who work in offices, I would think, would prefer not to have their offices located right on an active runway. Would you like to be in an office on an active runway? I don't think so.
I just want to make sure that supportive and accessory does not mean for use of those buildings. I have a second question. Less than 3 miles from where you are proposing the 600,000 square feet logistics buildings, HK Ventures has a proposal, which is now before the planning board, for 400,000 square feet of warehouse and distribution, again, less than 3 miles away. Have you considered whether or not that 1 million square feet of possible warehouse and distribution is necessary or even possible, given the close proximity of what could be HK Ventures project?
Well, the possibility is going to be controlled by the marketplace. So if it's impossible to occupy 1 million square feet of warehouse and logistics, and their project goes in before our project goes in, then I would think the market might turn us in a different direction. And that's why I'm saying that once we are before site plan approval, plans may change depending on the timing it takes for us to get before the town board for site plan approval. And what I've noticed in a lot of the hearings on these other large warehouses, the public comes out, the board considers that the better location for all these types of uses would be at EPCAL. So I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen because their project is in and much further along than our project. But we will follow what the market bears. If the market tells us do not put in a warehouse distribution logistics centers, we might convert that use to something else, which would only be a benefit because we believe that the least financially or economically impactful use of the property would be warehouse and logistics. So if we can get a better use, we will definitely go for the better use, but it's going to be dependent upon the market. So I understand we are following closely all of the projects in the town of Riverhead and the Calverton area specifically that are proposing large warehouse distribution centers. And if those projects move forward and advance and the need for this type of use gets reduced, we might have to turn to other uses, maybe more technology, more academics, more medical research, more manufacturing. And I think that would only be a benefit. It would create more jobs and it would create a better economic impact for the town.
Thank you.
Following up on the runway question that Lee asked, you're suggesting that you would be willing to wrap those runways with definitive restrictions going forward, in effect.
I think that's going to be asked of us, so we
Yeah.
are prepared. We've prepared for that, and we've had those discussions with the client, and we understand it. And we understand the rationale behind it, and the whole idea is that we want to work with the town of Riverhead to build a good project, a project that's going to ultimately be embraced. So we'd be willing to do that, yes.
So a question that may have come to mind to some of us here, how do you estimate air traffic on what is considered to be ancillary to businesses, which, as we stand here tonight, you've admitted, if the market pushes you in a different direction, you'll go in a different direction. So is there a way of assuaging public concern about what that air traffic flow might be going forward, or?
Well, the air traffic is going to be restricted, and again, I think I'm certain it's going to be restricted in all approvals that are granted for our project. Much like other projects that had multiple approvals from the town, all containing the same condition for approval. I can cite some other projects that I'm aware of in the town, but just, it happens. And I know there'll be limitations, and we will be willing to accept those limitations.
Other questions for Mr.
Do
King?
you have any tenants in mind at this point?
Well, we have tenant uses in mind. It's been very difficult. This process has been going on. There's been a lot of starts and stops on this project over the last 5 years. I haven't been involved with it for 5 years, thank God, but I have been involved with it for 4 years. And
But have you been in any talks with any of those?
we've been in talks with a lot of people. We have real estate brokers who are advising us. The market has actually shifted in the time that we've been in contract to purchase the property. So the uses are, as we're saying, we've been talking to composite metal fabricators. We've spoken. Some of the people that are still interested in the property have come to the town at the qualified and eligible sponsorship hearing, at town board work sessions. We brought in 5 prospective tenants who were interested in coming to the property. That was in 2020, so now it's 2023. So as time passes, people find other places. They're not sitting there waiting to come to Calverton. But we know that when the time comes for Calverton, there will be people who will want to use the property. The property's got unbelievably great attractions. And to be coupled with a very large town park, a wonderful bike and walking trail. We're going to be putting in wildlife walking trails with habitat observation points. It's going to create a beautiful industrial park where people will be excited to bring their businesses, and that's what we want. And so we don't know today what we're going to build in 2 years from now. It's just difficult. But we know we're going to build something that falls in line with the vision that the town's had for the property for 25 years and the limitations that have been placed on the property over those 25 years by the town.
Other questions? Lauren, Dave? I guess no further questions from us.
Well, I could go to one other little discussion point because I'm very interested in the updated comp plan that the town is engaged in right now. And, you know, as the developer of probably the largest property in the town, CAT seeks to be a part of the effort to update the town comprehensive plan and the vision that it has for the future of Riverhead. And we're willing to work collaboratively with community partners to envision a vibrant and sustainable community that balances economic growth and environmental stewardship. I was very excited to read the summary that came out from the consultant that's doing the updated comprehensive plan. I think it speaks to exactly what we've been talking about doing at this property since I've been involved with it, which is consistent with the vision of the updated comprehensive plan. CAT's plan for EPCAL includes development of quality educational and employment opportunities that forms the foundation for the future plans for the EPCAL property. It includes improved economic opportunities for residents.
Why what?
It includes improved economic opportunities for residents while attempting to minimize adverse impacts to ensure that the community remains enjoyable for both residents and visitors. If you take a look at the plan, it just came out. And we'll provide, EPCAL will be the place that provides a diverse range of business and economic opportunities for town residents. The proposed rail terminal at EPCAL will assist agricultural activities and support farm business to assist farmers, promote farmland, that will promote farmland preservation, because there's nothing better to preserve farmland than a farmer making money. So the Farm Bureau is already very interested in the rail terminal that we're proposing at EPCAL. They'd really like to utilize it as a way to get their product into the city. And it will help the town build a sustainable future. The long-term economic well-being while protecting the environment. That's both what the updated comp plan envisions and what we envision, because we're looking to preserve and protect more land at EPCAL than we're looking to develop. And that's a very unusual thing from a developer's perspective. The town is home to a diverse and dynamic economy and will continue to be a center for tourism, agriculture, business, shopping, recreation, and living on the East End. This is a direct quote right out of the updated comp plan. Riverhead should continue to pursue a diverse economic base by promoting office and industrial development in appropriate locations. EPCAL is the appropriate location for development of economic resources for the town and its residents. The majority of industrial land is located in and around EPCAL. Industrial areas play an important role in the town's sustainable economy, providing space for businesses to grow and to create jobs. The vision is to support a sustainable and vibrant economic hub that supports the needs of local businesses while preserving the town's natural resources and community character. It's a balance. The economic benefits of new industrial development with the potential impacts on traffic and the surrounding community. Proactively, they stress that we have to proactively address necessary infrastructure improvements and develop elevated planning and site design standards to ensure new projects are compatible with surrounding community and the natural environment.
Thank you. Mr. Kent, I appreciate the point that any project at EPCAL should be consistent with the comprehensive plan. That's good thought. Is there anything else you want to add to your actual proposed project besides the
No, I'm
description
here
you've
to
given us?
listen. If people want to come up and talk about it, we'll be glad to sit and listen.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Is
you.
anyone else from your team going to speak tonight? Or not? Okay. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to, well, I have a few cards here. I don't know whether I'm not sure if they're in order, but I'd like to call some of these people forward to provide their comments. I'm just going to, Mr. Barbato. Bob, you're in charge now.
Thanks.
Just to remind everyone, we're trying to, rule of thumb here is we're trying to run a 2-minute comment period for each individual who'd like to come forward. So Bob here is going to try to monitor that process, and the clock for you is just there to your left.
My name is Phil Barbado. I live at 211 Manor Lane in Jamesport. Sorry? Yes, I'm sorry. It's Barbato. All right. First of all, I think we need to know what this project is. We've been getting a lot of fluffy descriptions of what might take place, and oh yeah, we're going to follow the town law, but we don't know what this project is, and we don't have any tenants. We don't know what is really going to happen here. So how can you possibly approve it? We need it to be in detail, and we need it to be in writing, so you and the citizens of this town can read it and understand it. Secondly, using the old environmental impact statement on another different project does not follow secret law. This is a new project, and secret law needs to be followed, and you need to do a new environmental impact review. So on those 2 points, I hope there's some agreement on the part of you board members, because we need to go forward in the correct way. I would ask that you certainly vote no on any tax abatement that's been requested for this, quote, project. They've already gotten the best land deal in the history of Long Island. They don't need more tax abatement. $40 million for 1,600 acres, please. And please do not approve this project, as the town board has given you that responsibility to either go forward with the project or not. I ask you, do not approve this project and allow it to go forward. There's no substance to it, and they haven't proven they even have the financial capability to conduct any project. So I thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate the fact that you can get some comments from the public on this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I have John McCall.
John McAuliffe, McAuliff, 64 Jean Court in Riverhead in the Roanoke Landing area. We appreciate the fact this is happening. We think that limiting people to 2 minutes is not really adequate time, but I think people will try their best within it. I think you commented at one point that you had received no correspondence. EPCAL Watch sent you 4 pages of questions on Friday, and at least that should be recognized, and I hope the content of those questions will be examined by members of the board and brought into your discussions. I mean, basically, we are facing a question. Which Germasian do you believe? Do you believe the Germasians of last September, when this, what is now characterized as a hypothetical concept, was here on the table with beautiful drawings? They put a lot of money into that presentation, but suddenly it disappears, and now there's a new presentation. And I think that you really need to be skeptical about that new presentation. And only you can make that judgment in your professional capacity. There are all kinds of very specific technical questions that are in this list, and I can't repeat them in this 2-minute limit, but I will note that and to some extent Chris said the same thing, that in their long-term development, they're again going to have it based on market needs. And remember, market needs was the key word that justified the air cargo hub stuff. So I question what this means, unless somehow it is locked in several questions. One is,
John, thank you. Your 2 minutes is up. There's a lot of people that want
okay,
to speak.
all right,
Thank
well, let me just finish this paragraph, okay? One question is, do you have a guarantee they're not going to flip the land? Can you put a 30-year constraint on them solving their financial problems elsewhere by selling the land in Riverhead? I think that's a crucial question. And can you really guarantee what will happen long-term?
Thank you, John.
Are you a member of the planning board? I thought you were a member of the town board.
I'm the liaison to the IDA, and I was...
You're now chairing it. Is that what's happening?
No, I was asked to keep the time.
Oh,
John.
you're the timer. Okay.
Yeah.
So
John,
Thank
let
you.
me simply say that we did get your letter. It's been circulated to all the members of the board.
Okay.
We've read all the questions, and so thank you very much
all
for
right,
sending it in.
thank you.
Yes, the next person. Tommy John Schiavone? Did I get that right?
Good evening, members of the IDA. My name is Tommy John Schiavone. I am a resident of Sag Harbor. I'm a lifelong resident of the eastern end of Long Island. I remember when F-14s flew over our head. My head was a kid, producing the best fighter jet ever made by man. I am a councilman in the town of Southampton, and I appreciate the courtesy of this board to have this presentation today. I really want to give you all and the crowd some considerations that I implore you to consider when you are looking at this application. Is the applicant going to be taking any public money, federal monies? And if that is the case, that means that the FAA is going to have control over this distribution logistics facility. And I'm saying that like tongue-in-cheek because it's got a 10,000 and a 7,000 linear foot runway. We know what this thing is going to be. I told you I live in Sag Harbor, and we are near the East Hampton Airport, a much smaller facility. They've got roughly a 4,000, 4,900 linear foot runway. They have stopped taking federal monies for that airport 20 years ago. They are trying to put curfews on this airport. And so I am warning this board and the town of Riverhead and the residents here that if federal funds are commingled, and the applicant can probably, address this, that you will not have control over this airport. Gabrisky Airport is a public airport. It's got a roughly 9,000 linear foot runway, completely public. Anything can land there without prior permission, so long as the weight of the runway can handle the weight. Okay, I've got 17 seconds left before the hook. The other issue is this. This is a regional proposal. I'm hearing phase one. Phase one, starting with 1 million square foot, that possibly will be 10 million square foot when the thing is completely done. Is this board the lead agency on the seeker review? As the town of Southampton, we would like to be an interested agency. I also suggest that if I can, with all due respect, sir, as a fellow elected official, give me the extra 30 seconds. Thank you.
Excuse me, clapping business.
I would also suggest that you include the towns of Shelter Island, Southold, Brookhaven, East Hampton, and Southampton in your in all communications in regard to seeker in this application. This is going to affect all of us and for a long time. Thank you.
Francis and Catherine Roberts.
It's Francis Roberts. I live at 4 Cedar Road in the Wading River town of Huntington, town of Riverhead. I think that everybody who thinks about community planning understands how important the work that you people are doing. That is, you have to have a balanced, thoughtful kind of approach to any kind of industrial development. The problem is that what's being proposed really isn't development. It's a proposal for community destruction. That's what it is, community destruction. And we all understand why, because if you listen carefully, we're only being told part of the story, talking about the little places where the animals can play and little things they're going to do to light the park and so forth. These are all parts of the destruction, of the distraction that they're suggesting we listen to. For example, with all this airport talk, you listen carefully to what they say, they're going to improve the runways. Are they going to improve the runways for the pigeons? Are they going to improve the runways for the deer? Who are they going to improve the runways for? They're going to improve the runways because they envision sooner or later they'll be able to, by piece, get more and more use for larger and larger planes. That's the only reason why the runways are there. They're there for airplanes. The second point is nobody has mentioned anything about traffic in their presentations. There is a huge traffic problem in this. you think about all these people and these millions of square feet of land and all these people that are going to do all these kind of things there, that's going to involve thousands of cars and trucks and delivery things going all the time there. So the thing we ask you folks is to help us focus on things that are improving the community, and we think that as it presently is outlined, it is a plan for community destruction. Thank you.
Ken Rubino?
Ken Rubino, 4 Anchor Path, Baiting Hollow. Rubino. You're welcome. I was happy to hear that there's not going to be a cargo jet port. The problem is I don't believe it. The potential sale and development of the former Grummer plant in Calverton as a cargo jet port is the most environmentally harmful project facing the entire East End in western Suffolk County since the Shoreham nuclear plant was built but not allowed to go online. A cargo jet port is not needed, and the groundwaters beneath the former Grumman facility are already contaminated and has unremediated fuel spills. A jet port will only generate more. Additionally, the noise levels generated by a single cargo jet taking off, 140 decibels, is immediately harmful to people and animals alike. That jet engine noise will be heard approximately 23 miles from the Grumman facility and will carry to Port Jefferson to the west, east to Greenport on the North Fork, and to East Hampton on the South Fork. People visit the east end of Suffolk County for our serene open spaces, farmlands, vineyards, and beaches, all of which generate what is a booming economy based on tourist dollars. A new generation is discovering the East End. Some are buying vacation homes here, and others are moving permanently. If a cargo jet port is allowed to be built, it will destroy the 5 towns that make up the East End of Suffolk County and their economy. Moreover, a cargo jet port also has potential to destroy the value of most people's prized possessions, their homes. Folks don't move to cargo jet ports for vacation or move to cities to be closer to them. People move away from jet noises and cargo jet ports. Thank you.
Thank you. Sid Bale?
Good evening. My name is Sid Bale. I live in Wading River. I'm president of the Wading River Civic Association. I thought I was going to be really upset at this hearing, but one of the things that I feel a lot better about now is some of the questions that the members of the IDA posed. I think you've posed some very good and thoughtful questions. And one of the issues is an accessory use of aviation. It's a slippery concept, and it certainly lacks an auxiliary use of aviation. I concur with the speakers who have made presentations as of date, but I'd like to thank you guys for asking some very good questions. Thank you.
Okay. Andrew Levin?
It's always nice to get this. Andrew Levin, 45 Tyler Drive, Riverhead. I have a very unwelcome thing to say that must be said now while there's still time to change it. I don't fault CAT for trying to cash out. That's what developers do. What I want to speak to is the process that has brought us to this point, and in my view, the process must change and it can be changed. Our town has avoided the planning board by carving out a special zone for EPCAL. Our town has avoided a public bidding process for the land that advantages CAT and disadvantages the public. Our town has tried to avoid such basic protections for the public as site plan requirements being satisfied before approval by the IDA and meaningful environmental review occurring before approval by the IDA, and it is instead paying lip service to both without any substance. Our town has subcontracted the approval process to this body, and this is probably not going to be very welcome, but it isn't welcome to the public either. The fact of the matter is that this IDA does not take questions from the public. It does not take testimony from the public. It does not respond to letters from the public. It does not deliberate with the public present. It does not share with the public information that was or was not provided by an applicant. Instead, we're promised one hearing after the decision has already been made. And by the way, as you all know, public disapproval is a factor that the IDA is required to take into consideration. And I think this group of people here is an indication of public disapproval. Without this flawed process, we would not be here, because if you put the jetport to the side, on the merits, 10 million square feet of mixed use and 66,000 new vehicle trips per day is so absurd that if it was properly scrutinized, this project would never have seen the light of day. And on the jetport and the consultants that we've heard, pure speculation. I'm an attorney. I hire consultants. I only hire the ones who say what I want them to say. If they're not going to say what I want them to say, I don't use them. The notion that CAT hired a consultant who sat down with drawings and plans and asked for comments on this jetport and then billed them for it and presented it to this body, that somehow this was a mistake, okay, fine. If that's the level of scrutiny that CAT is going to be put under, if that's how they want their veracity to be judged, so be it. The notion that these economic consultants, these real estate consultants, oh, we're going to have this and that and technology and so on and so forth, absolute error. There's not a single tenant who has been signed up. There's not been a site plan submitted. These are consultants that CAT paid, gave them a vision to articulate, and it is now regurgitated up to you and to the public.
Thank you, sir. We gave you an extra minute.
I appreciate
that.
I'd like to respond to that. Since you got here from New Jersey, I'd like to say that this board actually hasn't taken any decisions whatsoever on this matter for clarification purposes. Furthermore, there has yet to be a public hearing on this matter. This is a public information gathering to basically start the information process. I can assure you that there will be public hearings on each and every facet of the decision that we're going to take. And on top of that, you'll be able to participate in those hearings. And you'll be given ample time to provide any comments or criticism you want, because in those hearings, we'll present you with the core information that we're using to make our decision. So when the process is done, Mr. Levin, this will be a very well-made decision, and you may be right that the IDA shouldn't be addressing certain issues in ahead of the town board, but that's where we are today, and we're going to do our best to give it a very level-headed, honest, and proper appraisal. And I really have no time for lightheaded comments about this board and its activities. And no, you don't get another 2 minutes. I'm getting my 45
May I
seconds.
have 20 seconds to respond?
No,
You're done.
no.
You're done.
This is not an exchange. Thank you.
We work too hard and spend too much time on this. Toki Turchin. Not taking it.
Good evening, Takwi Turchin, Greater Calverton Civic Association President. One of the questions that was submitted through the process by EPCAL Watch included this question. I haven't heard it yet, so I'd like to take a moment and read it to you. Please provide a full disclosure of the disposition, the use, the proposed use of the 400 David Court property. near the 10,000 square foot runway at EPCAL, previously owned by the Grimesians' 25% partner in CAT, Daniel Preston of Illuminati, who died in January of this year. So knowing Wing Air is suing the Illuminati-owned 400 David Court LLC to enforce a June 2022 contract to buy that Calverton site for $8 million. And 555, the Grimesians, was and remains an investor in Wings Air Helicopters, according to Larry Louie. Wings Air Helicopter is owned by pilot Javier Diaz, who runs charters and tours in the New York metro region, including flights to and from Manhattan and the Hamptons. The defendants, 400 David Court LLC, Preston's company, in the lawsuit had until June 21st, 2023 to answer or move against the Wings Air complaint. In the 2018 Q&E hearing process, Grimesian Representative Bienenstock stated, in addition to just researching helicopters, we are hoping to actually get the prototype, and we will be hopefully manufacturing as well on site. If Wings Air Helicopters is successful in court and completes its purchase of the site, it plans to operate its helicopter transportation business here. Thank you very much.
Claudette Bianco.
Evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I have to say, Mr. Farley, apparently we pushed your buttons.
You certainly did.
You also have to admit that the IDA is not really resident-friendly. This is the first time I'm seeing your names. You don't allow comments or questions from the public.
It's not true.
Really? Can you speak at other than a public hearing, can you speak at an IDA meeting?
No, we have what we call public meetings,
Right.
and then we have public hearings.
You have public listening sessions, sir.
No,
You do
we
not have a public meeting because you don't allow the public to participate. Be that as it may, that's not why I came up here.
We
The
operate-
question I have, go ahead, I don't want to cut you
No,
off.
it's okay, fine.
The question that I have is, actually, it's not a question, it's a comment. This company, or companies, such as they are spending millions of dollars renovating a runway for nobody, adding flex buildings to the tune of nearly 10 million square feet. If this IDA is requested to give them any tax abatements, shame on you for doing so. They can afford all this on speculation. They can build it themselves. Thank you.
Carrie, I'm afraid I'm going to get you wrong, your last name probably wrong.
Fagurniak.
Fagurniak, excuse me.
Figurniak, Fagurniak. I just wanted to say that there's no way Calverton can handle all this traffic that would come from this development and others in the area. It's just, we're too small town for this. The one main road, there's no other side roads to really get around. I can't even pull out of the post office in Calverton at 2:30 in the afternoon. You have to wait and hope somebody lets you out, and it's not even school. The school is not even in session. They're talking about the runway use, but then they say they don't plan on using it. So that's a little up in the air, and you really need to look at that. The area can't handle any more air traffic. Between all the flight schools that practice over Calverton, Bridgeport Airport now comes right over Calverton. Block Island, Martha's Vineyard, East Hampton, West Hampton, Montauk, Islip. Now you have Manhattan, New Jersey, and the Hampton air traffic commuting out east. Our airspace is already packed. I mean, we can't add any more and have a peaceful time at home or peaceful overhead to our nice town. I'm gonna say, please do not approve this project, and if by chance you do, I want it written, if you can, somewhere where you can never have a jet port or a cargo airport. If that can be done, and where there's no, I don't want this a cider house issue where, you know, build it and then they do it anyway when they can't. Okay, and I also would not want to see this family anywhere near the YMCA project. Thank you.
I have no more names here. Oh, I guess, well, I'll just check with the audience. If anyone here in the audience would like to make a comment before we switch to the Zoom list.
Thank you for letting me the opportunity. My name is John Cullen. I'm with the Riverhead Air Task Force. And as Southampton Councilman Tommy Schiavone said, once the FAA gets involved, it's over. That's what I personally think. Tommy, I think, believes me, because East Hampton did just finish 20 years of FAA money, and they're still having a hard time getting control of their airport. I'm against this project. I've been against the project from day one. I was here for Daniel Preston's presentation. I was here for 2 presentations by the Germaisians. All those presentations went down the hill in about, with the Preston, two weeks it was all over. With the Germaisians, 2 months it was all over. No one of these people are coming. But what really important to me is that these runways that they're going to invest $1 million into, how are they going to get their money back from that? By landing fees. But Gobretsky Airport is 13 minutes away as you drive, a 13-minute drive. I heard somebody, Mr. Kent, say that there won't be any deliveries. There'll be no cargo, no deliveries. But if a company comes in and needs a chip, it'll be flown in. That chip can be flown into Gobretsky Airport, and 13 minutes later, it'll be in their hands. Thank you for your time.
Any further comments from the room? Otherwise, we'll switch to the registered Zoom participants. Just one? Okay.
Okay. Hi, how are you? My name is Emily Urban, and I am at 63 Alfred Avenue over in Baden Hollow. I've been out here for about 8 years, moved out from Manhattan, and one of the things I was really taken with over here, and still am, is that there's so much silence, especially at night. It is so quiet, it's beautiful. It's one of the things that is just so important, and to see that threatened by this so-called development is really concerning. You know, if we are here today to take CAT on their word that their extremely detailed presentation that they gave back in September 2022 just contained wrong information and was an oops, that's really difficult to accept. And that demonstrates to me that they're just presenting a flippant attitude towards Riverhead and the residents here. So for me, their credibility is shot. And CAT opened this meeting when they first started speaking and stated that they welcomed our questions. Yet, we were told prior to the meeting and the CAT's presentation that we were not allowed to ask questions. We were given a lot of restrictions. So they did, the gentleman did absolutely state that. And, you know, this just really underscores their poor planning and lackadaisical approach to our town. This is our home and our livelihood, and it's disappointing that we can't even prepare enough to present accurate information. So, you know, this seems like the town and CAT are not necessarily on the same page. And when this happens, it seems to be that there's usually mistruths and some deception around that. So CAT's development and their jobs represent to me a demise of our community and the current jobs. So they're really looking, I said, I know another gentleman said it before, to destroy us. It's not development, it's destruction. And they don't even provide a vision for the next few years. Very difficult to accept that. So CAT's plans don't really seem to matter. You can present today, you can present a year ago, next year. the word is no good and seems like things change on a whim. Riverhead, we really deserve better partners here. We don't want any helicopters, airplanes, warehouses, distribution centers, etc.
Okay.
So I am imploring the town and the IDA to please walk away from CAT and cancel this contract. 555,
Okay,
CAT,
thank you.
Gramasian
You're-
family,
Sorry.
we don't trust
Time's
you.
up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No further Zoom questions? Okay. Please come to the podium.
I would just like to point out that... Oh, of course. Novick, N-O-V-I-C-K, Barbara. This is a room full of Republicans and Democrats, and we are all in the same boat. It doesn't matter. And we are all the voters, the taxpayers of this area. We are the homeowners who don't want our values to go down. We don't want the air polluted, the water. We have enough issues with the water out here. And we all want the same thing, and we all don't want the same thing, which is this. This would be a menace to this area that is, as everyone has said, it's a beautiful vacation spot, place to live. This is our home. And we don't want this. It is money in someone else's pocket, not for us. And we are not bought by this promise of a number of jobs. We have jobs here, and sometimes we can't get enough people to fill them, and many of us know that as well. We're not bought, and people are not stupid. They're nice, and they're decent. They're not making noise. They're not rowdy. This is the reality, and we do not want this. We are very strongly opposed, and it is many more of us than this. There are petitions, and it's growing. Thank you. It really, it's known, and it's known all over the East End and even further west and to the south. This doesn't affect just Riverhead, and we all know that, and the fact that it's spreading and the word is spreading and that people are doing something and saying something. This can't happen. There has to be another place for you folks to build your little nest egg. And we would appreciate it. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I mean it seriously. It's money for someone else, not for us. We've invested in this, not that. Thank you. And thank you all for voting the right way, please. We're voters, we're taxpayers.
I wanted to extend an invitation, if I could, on the 17th of August at Vale Levitt. We will be doing a full presentation of our concerns and taking into account what we've heard today. And we welcome members of the IDA, people from, Chris Kent, of course, and people from the Germasian operation are welcome to come and be part of that kind of a discussion on the 17th at Vale Levitt, 6:30 or 6 o'clock. The doors will be open. Thank you.
Okay. If there are, you have, oh, you do. Got one more Zoom? All right.
You're on, Ron?
Emily was the last speaker.
We've already heard from Emily.
Change when you start talking.
Ron, you're up.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the committee. And I appreciate the chair's willingness to consider the relevant facts, agreement to provide pertinent information to the public so it may properly comment on the issues before this agency. However, I would ask that the board take administrative notice of the repeated reports through the media of years of defaults to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars by 555's affiliates. I would ask that it carefully consider the charges made by the town's own law firm, the venerable law firm of Nixon Peabody. Mr. Weld is your counsel, who has alleged in a federal lawsuit pending in the Southern District of New York that affiliates of 555, including Mr. Gamazian's cousins and uncle, who have been present lobbying before this agency and the town board, amount to a racketeering enterprise.
Excuse me, Mr. Hariri, do you have anything to comment on the project? I mean, we will be taking up the financing issues and other issues of the nature you're raising at a separate hearing, but, and do you have any comments on the project?
Well, certainly, I think that the statements by the town's own council that 555 and its affiliates are a racketeering enterprise.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hariri.
Is an acknowledgement, is it admit?
I'm sorry, it's not the topic, tonight's topic. Fully appreciate your comment, but it's not tonight's topic.
Time is up. Thank you, Ron.
Any further? Okay. Just like to make a comment since, yeah, you got me, you got my goat here tonight, that's for sure. But I just want to make something pretty clear here, and that is that the five of us here are really trying to do our very best to go through all this material as fully as we possibly can. And we're trying to do it in a fashion that makes sense, that provides some logic, and tries to follow the goals of what the agency is. And the goal of the agency really is to accept applications from people who want to develop commercial enterprises in Riverhead to determine whether or not they should be induced to pick Riverhead as their place to do business. There are businesses that apply that are not controversial. There are businesses that apply that are controversial. There are some people who are typically just opposed to financial inducements of any size, shape, or form in the context of the way things are done. But one thing we are trying to do is that we're trying to do it fairly, and we're trying to make sure everybody gets a say. And on this particular project, as I said in response to Mr. Levin's comments earlier, we are holding a process whereby we will have hearings on all the particularly difficult issues that we're confronting and trying to make a decision on this particular matter. And you will be heard, and your comments will be incorporated into our final analysis. Tonight's meeting, if you will, has been recorded. It's on Channel 22. It's on Zoom. We also have a stenographer here recording everyone's comments. It's all part of our record. So if you can take us at face value that that's what we're trying to do, we're going to try and do a good job of it. And we're not going to try to spin it out of control for months and months. We'd like to get this thing done. We have things to do, but besides work through copious documents and hours and hours of meetings on the various topics that come up. So we understand that people don't like the project. We're not sure whether our acceptance of this particular task from the town board makes us the final arbiter in terms of what the use of the property at EPCAL is going to be. We're simply looking at it in terms of whether it's a viable project in terms of supporting economic development in Riverhead, be it whether you like that or not. And there's plenty of venues for making noise and complaining about that. But there is one little underlying thing here that I want to point out, and it's not whether there's an inducement required or not, but the town has to look at its future. The comprehensive plan is part of it. The town needs a business plan as well, and that's the financials of the town. And there is a core element to this land that we're debating about tonight here and what it should be used for, which it's been in the town's plan as a source of revenue going forward for the town. And you can shake your head at that and you can make a decision. But I can assure you, it's important to run some numbers, and that would be whatever alternatives you might have for EPCAL, please think it through in terms of what it means to Riverhead and the taxpayers of Riverhead going forward, because it will have a significant impact It may not be that you want an airport, and I could probably say that that's not something that should be taken lightly. But at the same time, you need to consider whether or not industrial development in the town of Riverhead, or employment development, if you will, is vital to its overall long-term health. That's what we're trying to do here in this board when we get an application. It seems simple sometimes, but these are things that need to be considered. And we're glad to have an argument with you about it. And we're not always going to disagree with you. We might even agree with you. But we're going to look at it as straight as we can. And that's what we try to do. All right? And with that, if no one has any further questions, then I'd like to sort of call an end to tonight's process. We actually made it out of here a little bit earlier than we planned. Oh.
Scale of everything. Oh, I'm sorry, for Gurniak, FIG, or NIA.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's the scale of all these projects, it's the scale and the size. I think it's not that people are against development and businesses helping the town or growing. I think it's the scale of everything, and of course, just the jetport. But I have a question for you then, if I may. The man on Zoom and the other man who spoke earlier, clearly, they, I don't know how to say it, let's see. You didn't fully agree with their comments. I think what they're asking or trying to point out is, at what point in this process do we get to point out somebody's character and ethics?
That's in the process.
Okay.
That's
When?
in the process.
When? At what part?
We'll have to figure out how that gets addressed. I mean, I think.
Okay,
it's
because
very-
there's a lot of
I mean, I
red-
think in all fairness also to the applicant, I mean, they highlighted the fact that they know that they've been pointed out as having a lot of
red flags.
Issues or red flags and that. But my guess would be is that they'd probably be willing to walk you through them or walk us through why those are misplaced or what the concern may be. But
Right.
we'll get to that.
Okay, thank you. But
All
I'm
right.
saying, like, if it was working on your house, would you hire somebody with a lot of red flags? That's all to take into consideration.
It's a fair point.
Thank you.
Due diligence. And with that, may I
Wait,
call...
wait, before you do that.
Oh, you're back. Hi.
I never left. I was just quiet in the back.
I mean at the podium.
I'm back. A question on the application, because we haven't seen any of the documentation. Is it written in there anywhere that the building of these buildings, the work that's going to be done to make the enterprise and the people hired to work there will be Riverhead town residents?
Tracy will correct me if I'm wrong, which she always does. But I think it's always been our intention to try to use locally sourced, whatever services that are required to make the business go, we try to ask the applicant to source them locally. I mean, I could say...
Asking isn't getting.
Well, I could say in this context, I won't put Joe on the spot. But he is a participant, and he is certainly a local business.
Okay. I mean, you can make it a requirement.
We have a local labor
there is.
policy.
We have a local labor policy. We do. And the application and material is on our website under projects. So you can see it there. It's been there.
Okay. I'll check it out.
With what?
If you'd like to say something, please come up to the podium.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. We really appreciate the time you took.